Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, he's back once again. Our most frequent guest. He's got the jacket and everything for the 15 Timers Club or whatever. It's Paul Conti, Radio
Whoa,
Free Hammer
hold
Hall.
on.
How you doing, Paul?
I am doing quite well. What's up, nerds? Great to see you all once again in the chat. I'll be hanging out in the chat with you guys too.
So it's good to have you back on tonight. We're going to tier list out the armies in the new meta, Paul. Okay.
That'd be a good tier list.
Yeah, I mean, we're not going to do it the normal way, of course. We've got our own stuff going on. Yeah. But the reality is that my ultimate theory is that the meta has changed quite a lot. Like this GHB is a meteor. And so we're going to really talk about it, try to figure out exactly what's going on, so on and so forth. So that'll be tonight's main topic. But of course, first we've got a little bit of news. So first off, we've got a rumor engine. It's like a knife in a sheath or a sword in a sheath. That's what that is.
Sure is.
Yep.
I can't tell if that's. Yeah, I mean, it looks like a scabbard to me.
Yeah.
With, like weird stitching on it.
Yeah, it's a scabbard with weird stitching.
Yeah, like you can't see metallic flakes or anything in there.
Right.
So it looks like it's going to be some sort of normal paint.
Yep. Agreed. So this is nothing.
Not that tells us anything about what that is.
Right. Yeah, this is nothing. Thank you yet again for the nothing. But we did,
could
Paul.
Be any of 4 different games.
Right, exactly. It could literally be anything. It could be a boat.
Could be.
We did get one very exciting piece of news, though, Paul. Okay? Just one. But it was one.
Just one?
Yeah. And that is KO. We got this article about the new KO coming. So, and we got new models, technically 2 new units, I guess, but sort of like it's one kit, obviously. We also got a new hero, just what we needed.
Because everybody needs another 5 wound foot hero.
Yes. We have another floaty balloon man hero guy here with a very dumb helmet on.
Yes.
I don't know what to say about this guy, except I really hate him. He looks so dumb.
It's like an old-timey diver helmet.
Yeah, yes, but it's like little. The window is like real little, right? Like I think of old-timey diver helmets as being much more round and a little bit bigger compared to the overall globe. It just looks weird. Like he looks like an alien. Shout out Branu mate for the super chat. Thank you. The new GHB is his biggest shakeup in how to play as 3rd into 4th, and people haven't worked that out yet. Branu, I completely agree. We're going to talk about it tonight, buddy. It's a huge change. Huge change. All right, so we got this dumb looking guy. If you like him, I'm sorry. I'm not trying to yuck your yum, but I really think this guy looks stupid as all get out. Then we got these guys. Your yums. Yes. So what did you think of the new unit, Paul? The sort of angry walking around, but they have balloons so they can clearly fly and stuff. The less armored balloon shock troopers.
Yeah, I mean, they're a cool kit. I like them a lot. It's not going to hook me into playing KO, but one of those things that, I don't know, it's also going to be some great conversion fodder for Leagues of Votann.
Yeah, I mean, I think these guys are okay, is my answer. At least it's more than just completely clad in metal. You actually get some of the other things going on here. So that's fine. That's fine. They don't thrill me. I like the dude with the hook hand. That's fun.
Yes. And no flight stands this time.
Yeah, no flight stands. They're on terrain and other things like that. That's fine. I appreciate all that. Also, we can't sleep on robot parrot. The unit champion has a robot parrot. He looks like, see him in the middle there? It's there. It's right here.
Oh my god.
Robot parrot.
That's amazing. Keep it with his hook hand.
Yeah. It reminds me of the little TikTok owl from you know, the old Harryhausen stop motion thing, right? Little TikTok owl.
Yeah.
Um,
There was other news this week, not necessarily Age of Sigmar, but the
hold on.
FAQ, like big FAQ errata for Old World dropped.
That's true. We'll get there in a second. We'll talk about it. I haven't got a chance to go over it yet, but yes, I do want to talk about it. We'll mention it. But hold on, there was Paul. You were thinking those 2 units were it. That's why you were ready to move on. But Paul, that's not it.
That's true.
There's more. Okay. Have you ever been out in the field harvesting your Aether Gold and thought to yourself, oh no, I've got to use the restroom, right? I took that laxative this morning and now it's time, right? But there's nowhere around. We're in the clouds. What are you going to do? Well, fortunately, the KO have your problem solved, as the aerial mobile deployment porta potty unit can float on over to you, and you're all and you can do your business in privacy. So the mobile facilities here are ready to go. This is their new terrain piece / little weird thing that they get, the mobile porta potty.
Yeah.
What is this?
Interesting that it's on a base. I think that's the first time we've seen a terrain piece on a normal base.
The Orcish tower is as well.
Oh, it is too. Maybe it's just a new thing then. I don't know, but this is the second new thing that we've gotten that looks distinctly like a porta potty. Like,
yeah.
Is this some kind of weird joke in the GW studio?
I just think it's the look. Think about what you've got to do when you're designing a piece of terrain for most of these armies, right? So like you've got to find some small building-like structure that you can reasonably have an explanation for it appearing on the board or whatever, right? And so just like that mobile, what's the most mobile tiny building in the world? It's just a porta potty. That's it. That's what it is, right? And so
that is absolutely true.
Right. And so they just all end up looking like this. I've stated on this show, I will repeat on this show, I am profoundly against faction terrain. I think it's bad and dumb and I hate it. I don't like my rules being tied up in a random terrain piece that is actually a net negative for me. It just gives my opponents free charges and other things like that. I would just give me the rule. I would rather just have the rule. Thank you.
Like the Slaves to Darkness one, I've just stopped even putting it on the board.
No, I don't put out the Chaos Net.
Like
Chaos, whatever the thing is. Nexus Chaotica. No, don't even put it out.
Yeah, it takes up a ton of room, and if you don't have any wizards that want to stay still, there's no point, really.
Yeah, and that's fair, Brown, who said, I agree with everything you have to say, but I still like seeing Loon Shrines on the board. There are a couple that are so cool and unique as to be interesting and like are fine to be part of the army. I think Sylvaneth Woods, although again, mechanically terrible in that they just mean that the Sylvaneth can always be charged anytime they want. And all that kind of stuff are fine.
Excuse me for 1 second.
Yeah, you're good. Go deal with your family sitch. Paul's family is just coming home from a long trip, but he was still nice enough to do the show, so he's got to go handle that. But anyways, like, but Sylvaneth Woods at least makes sense. Like, oh, the Sylvaneth showed up. Of course, they bring trees with them and stuff like that, right? But this like move that everybody's got to have their own little weird building around is just like insane. Yeah, I agree, Aaron. Like, that's the thing. As a Sylvaneth player, you want to have the trees. They make sense. They make your army feel thematically appropriate. They're neat. They do neat things. But then they just mean that anybody can charge you anytime, all the time, and never fails to charge. Like, that's what happens with Sylvaneth terrain. So, I don't know. Is what it is. As Paul mentioned, the Old World also had an FAQ. I haven't really got to dig into it yet. I plan to, but I want to know your takes out there. I was happy to see it published. So I want to know what everybody thinks. If you're playing Old World, were you happy with the FAQ? Yeah, tell us. Give us a shout out. The Dan R said it looks like toothpaste coming out of the bottom of the little porta potty. I agree. It really does. Like the way it's painted, it just looks like toothpaste going like it's being like the toothpaste is being squeezed out of the porta potty there at the bottom instead of smoke. Yeah. This has everything I don't like. Welcome back.
Yeah, I apologize. My dog got to the cat, and you know, they don't get along.
That's fine. All good. Cygnus said the old world FAQ is basically a new edition. Drastic changes. Okay, cool. I'll have to check it out. MC, yeah, I've played old world some. I get a game in every so often. I like it. It's very fun. It's a chance for me to play my Tomb Kings. The hobby collab with the super chat saying, Vince, is faction terrain not one of those weird, wonderful things that make AOS weird and wonderful? I didn't mind it as much when it wasn't an automatic charge target and something where I could just have it easily destroyed and all my rules taken away. It's often big, annoying to set up, gives my opponent a benefit, and gives me very little benefit in the vast majority of cases. There's only a few that I think are worth it. I like AOS being weird and wonderful. I really do, but I'd rather that through units, not extra pieces of building that I am fiscally and financially and fiduciarily apparently responsible for paying for and putting on the table. That I am not for. So there you go.
Yeah.
All right.
They should have done, in my humble little opinion, with a KO terrain piece, it should have been huge. And it should have been like suspended up,
yeah,
and be like a sky dock, and it'd be really big.
Yep.
And make it so that like it has rules that you can't charge it unless you're flying or something like that.
Yep. Exactly. Like just they could have done a bunch of things if they had to do it. Which, by the way, you didn't have to do it. No KO player was like, you know what we're missing? You know what's going to bring this tie the whole room together? A piece of faction terrain.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, obviously there must not be a head on those ships.
Right. Like what they needed was melee units, and it sounds like that's what they got. So good, I guess. Like we'll see what that new unit looks like when we see the rules, but thematically it seems like it's going the right direction. But like a floating porta potty was not what I was looking for. Not on my bingo card. So there you go. At any rate,
I mean, I feel like now we need to put some sort of porta potty on the bingo card, because now that it's happened twice, and you know,
how many more times
for every time we got a porta potty?
Yeah,
had a nickel for every time we got a porta potty terrain piece. I'd have 2 nickels, but it's weird that it happened twice.
Yeah, that's exactly right. That's right. Like, when do we get the Daughters of Cain porta potty? That's the question. Look forward to that with your book release this edition, Daughters. Yeah, get excited. You're going to have your little, it's going to be like a little blood pool porta potty. So won't that be exciting? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, Scan Cool, like literally at the same time said the dock porta potty is going to be lit. I know he didn't hear me say that yet because of the delay, but I'm just glad we were on so much the same page. That's great. MC, Vince Petrella. Sorry, random question, but have you ever played OPR, one-page rules? Thoughts on it if you have? I have not. Adam tells me it's very good. He's putting together an army for their sci-fi grimdark thingamajiggy, whatever it's called. I haven't tried it yet. I'll probably get a game in at some point in time because I'm sure I'll want to discuss it on the podcast with Adam. So there you go. All right. Cool. Paul, let's move on out of the news. Let's head on over to pick of the week. What would you like to share with everybody?
I'm just going to be a shameless self-promoter, and I've been doing some videos on like what to do with the new Scourge of Gairan rules, new GHB rules, and everything. I've done Slaves to Darkness and like kind of breaking down what the best battle tactics are going to be for them. Did Slaves to Darkness and Magakin so far. Not sure how many more I'll do, but it's been fun. So yeah,
nice. You're deep into the S2D area, and I get it, man. I've run some S2D a little bit in the new edition, and man, I call me McDonald's because I'm loving it. Okay, they are really fun. Like spoilers for later in the show, they're stonks on S2D. It's a great day for them for sure. Okay. Yeah, my pick of the week. Well, don't worry, I got all sorts of things to talk about here. So first off, I want to direct everybody to a channel called The Miniatures Paintbrush. Good buddy Rob, great guy. He did a battle report for Rain and Iron for Uncle Adam and I's new game, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out yet, you can find linked down below. Everything related to that. If you're looking for some hot robot on demon action and a continuation of the story from Rain and Hell, and so that's down there. Rob did an awesome battle report of one of the missions in there, so you can check it out and see how it plays. He recorded that with his wife, so very nice. Also, continuing on with the shameless plugs, why not? Let's just make this the shameless plug portion of the show. The newest episode of Fireball the Gazebo, the role-playing game podcast that Ninjon and I are doing, is out now. We talk about why you've never been higher than level 9 in a role-playing game. So, we're talking about challenges of high-level play, why games tend to collapse before they get there, how you actually get to high level, how to make high-level play fun, all of that and more. So it's going to be it's a great episode. You can also find that linked right down there. Go give it a sub. We appreciate it. Thank you to everybody who's been watching and liking and commenting and doing all that stuff.
Yeah, I don't even play D&D, and I've been enjoying it a lot.
That's awesome, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that, brother. I really do. It's really fun to record. RPGs are the oldest part of my nerd life. Okay. So like I started playing D&D in 1989 and then Magic in 94 and then Warhammer in 98. And all of those things have stuck with me over the years. But D&D has been part of my life longer than anything else. Most of my oldest friends I met in some way through that hobby or through Magic or through Warhammer. Like basically everybody who's a friend of mine, I met through one of those three places, period. Okay. I just don't have any other friends, nor do I want them. That's it. I'm good. But yeah, so it's nice to be able to like discuss this stuff and hopefully bring some experience and things like that to the table. So check it out. Did we figure out the sound issue with John? So in episode 1, he was recording through his webcam thing accidentally. Episode 2, it's fixed. It sounds perfect. Episode 3, we checked. It sounded right on the podcast version. So when we spun out the audio version for the podcast, no issue. If you listen to it like on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or something, completely normal is how he sounds. If you listen to it on YouTube, he sounds weird. I have no idea what happened there, what magic he did. So we're trying to figure out where this gremlin is in the system. So there you go. Yeah, I couldn't tell you. Something weird happened. But yes, we did so many sound checks at the beginning of the recording of episode 4, which you've already recorded, obviously. And I have no idea what went wrong. I told him and he's like, "What? No, I listened to the podcast. It sounds perfect." I was like, try again. So just a little bit of technology growing pains, but we'll get there. Okay. All right. With that, Paul, let's turn to some hobby time, buddy. I know what you've been working on because you and I have been talking about it a bunch. You've been sharing it in our chat, but
yeah,
what you been working on?
I have been working on my Slaves to Darkness.
Yes.
I actually have stuff like right here. This nice little demon prints in progress.
Heck yeah.
I've been really loving these guys. Suffering through doing Chaos Knights. That sculpt is just like it needs to be able to be done in sub assemblies, but you can't without clipping stuff yeah, so I've been spending a lot of time on that lately, and that's basically been it. I realized that I have like 2 weeks until a GT, and I need to get like the list painted up, and I'm going to be on vacation next week, so I really only have about a week to get it to the quality that I wanted.
Very nice. Yeah, that's always hey, sometimes pressure and a deadline is what you need for success. You know what I mean? So that's fine. You'll get there. That's
really the thing that always motivates me to actually get stuff done.
Right.
The most is your deadline.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I get it. It's I gotta finish up the rest of my Skaven that I need as well. But I'm not working on them right now because I'm working on a big project that I've wanted to work on for a while, which is these 2 figures. This is Snakeheart from Braum. So here's the girl. She's standing in front of this. He's the guy I'm about to show you in a second will also be there. She's just obviously Zenithal Prime, so that's her. She has a little chain because she's going to have a chain around his neck. And then here's him. He's what I've been working on. Here we go. So here's them. They're very, very Conan looking. And so I spent a lot of time, spent about 13, 14 hours painting him on Saturday. And it was great. I just sat down, painted all day, focused on the skin, just spent hours working the skin and everything. I'm really happy with where he's at. I added a bunch of like Frankensteinian stitches and stuff like that to him and little cuts. So he's coming out real cool. Now I just got to figure out what I want to do with the other little components, but he's coming right along. You can see there's a little chain hanging down off his neck. That'll eventually wrap around her hand at the end. But it's a beautiful sort of like little mini diorama of these two figures. And I have wanted to paint it for a long time, and I finally sort of had an angle on it. And that's what I'm doing. I'm also recording some stuff for a video. So Paul, I'm playing with, you ready for this? We're playing with markers. We're playing with sponges. Ooh. We're playing with dry brushes. I put where I don't know where I set my dry brush. We're playing with contrast paints. We're playing with normal paints. We're going all in. We're going all in, buddy. It's big brushes. It's just it's a wild time. So that'll come out sometime in the far future, whenever I get that all done and edited and stuff. But yeah. So and that's a little bit of a fun project to distract me. That's the amuse bouche of my larger project there, right? So there you go.
Some little fun stuff like that now and then. Just push some contrast paint around and those sorts of things.
Yeah. It's just good to like have a little fun. Like basically I'm giving myself 30 minutes for the actual paint job, but it's about using all these different tools and trying to show where they're the best applied, right? That kind of thing. So, okay. Cool.
Also,
Paul.
I want to just give you props real quick on hobby stuff that the thing for Grand Cathay that you painted and you like speed painted in 3 hours and still managed to make like the thumbnail of the Warhammer community article on it. Love that.
Yeah, everything I've painted for them in the past, I took more time on and didn't make the thumbnail. So I figured out the secret. Spend less time. Yeah. No, I was happy to. I'm glad people seem to really enjoy it. That video resonated with people. Dry brushing is one of those things that I think people have a real attitude about. Like some people, like some painters are like, whatever. I think it's really, really useful. Yeah. And it's just like, if done right, it's a very potent, powerful technique for like doing work on a lot of different types of models. So yeah, he was fun to paint, terrible to assemble. That was the most common question I got. Was what was the assembly like? A bunch of people were like, other people talked about it being bad to assemble. Did you think it was bad to assemble? And I'm like, well, first of all, what am I going to do? Say no? I thought it was easy and just like contradict all these other people. But like, no, it's a 148 piece kit. Like, no, of course it's annoying, but like that's often what those specialist game studio kits are like, right? They're just often like that. I put together the
have like weapon options and like different arms and stuff like that.
It has 2 different sets of arms. So it's about like 10 or 12 pieces you don't use with it. Because you can put the arms in 2 different positions, but that's basically the only difference.
Got it.
The instructions are like, I don't know really, like Manzak, I don't think the Sentinel's instructions were terrible. They're not great, I'll say that. But like, I've been assembling kits for a long time. They felt more like many older model kit assembly guides I would get. You know what I mean? Like now GW is very cool about like showing you, like when you buy one from the main studio, you get to see like, it'll show you exactly the connection points and, you know, all of that kind of stuff and exactly where the piece fits. Whereas here, they're just like, put these 2 pieces together. Right. And it's like, okay, well, exactly how you figure it out. Right. And with a 148 piece kit, you're going to be like, does that go like, where's that sit in there? Like, okay, there it is. You know, so like, the problem with it is just the sheer number of pieces. Like his lower right thigh, Paul, that Cathayan Grand Sentinel, okay? His lower right thigh, or not thigh, sorry, calf, not thigh. His lower right calf is 9 pieces.
Oh, why?
For the calf. Okay? The knee is 4. All right? The knee. So, I mean, this is just like the nature of the thing.
I would definitely totally botch assembly on that model, without question.
Sure. It's like there are easy places to make mistakes too. Like there's some stuff you assemble and it gets like almost completely covered up that I was just like, okay, I'm just not assembling this piece. Like that's what I looked. I just read ahead and was like, I'm gonna completely cover this. I don't need this piece. It's not a load bearing piece, right? So it's fine. Um, and, it just like if you've ever so the reason I found it annoying, but that's mostly just because of the number of pieces and the time it took. It took forever, right? But I assembled the like big Imperial Knight that was for Adepticus Teeny Tinicus, right? The little scale game. So like the big Imperial Knight for that's like the same size as the normal knights, right? But in world he's actually massive, right? Um
Yeah.
that thing was like insane to put together. It's the same thing, right? Like I opened that kit up and I was like, "Oh my god, what is this?" Every toe is 2 pieces. He has 8 toes. That's 16 pieces of toes. Just toes, not feet, toes. Okay? So like I get it. This is what happens, right? And I was like, whatever. The funny thing is, as I showed in the video, they really are like exactly, Paul, the same piece as Mega Gargants. Like, I don't know if that was intentional, but I put mine next to each other. Their legs are the same size, their arms are the same size, their torso is the same size. Like, they are interchangeable kits, basically. It's
That
wild.
sounds fantastic.
Yeah.
I really hope that we see some cool conversions for Sons of Bahamut with that. 'Cause I'm just not a fan of seeing like 4 of that one big Mega Gargant sculpt on the table. Like there's something about the way the legs are posed that I just can't stand.
Well,
Um,
don't worry. The legs here are posed exactly the same and in the exact same position as the Mega Gargants. They're literally doing the exact same thing. So, whether you're statue
I-
or organic, they're all walking the same, Paul. Yes, exactly. So, I mean,
yeah, erase everything I just said then.
sure, sure. But
Forget
look,
it.
it's a new option for those interested in a different kind of Mega Gargant army, right? It'll be perfectly in scale. They fit perfectly on the base. They're the same size. Thumbs up, right? So that's cool. That's a neat thing.
Mhm.
You'll lose your mind assembling like 4 of those, like 600 pieces total. Oh, I can't take it anymore, but you'll get there. Painting is a dream though. They really were fun to paint. Like it's a great model for painting. Really sharp, really clean, absolutely fantastic work on that. So like I had no complaints once it
Yeah.
was together. Right?
Yeah. Sculpting great, engineering a little rough.
Yeah, I mean, I know the sculptors do their own slicing, and so like I don't
Oh,
know. So it is what it is. All right. Cool. Paul, let's get into it. Let's talk about the new tier list. Before we get to the tier list itself, we're going to, of course, do a little setup, right? Little setup
yeah.
and summary. I want to talk about the new meta a little. Okay. All right. So here's my read of the new season. I want to get your take on it. Okay. And audience, I want your take as well. By the way, thank you to everybody who's chatting, who's giving feedback. Thank you to all our super chatters. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe. Don't forget to super chat if you want to. It helps keep the channel going. We really appreciate it. Okay. So here's my thoughts. 1, the new season puts pressure on you to have more units, right? Like the MSU, right? The multiple small units pressure here is real, right? If you're running like 4 or 5 units and that's it, just like a bunch of hammers, I honestly do not know how you really win games in this new season. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, I mean, maybe if you had like an ultra fast all hammers and you could just hit them and kill them that quickly, but I think you're going to find so many hard counters out there in the meta to that it's just not going to work. Is my belief. Okay.
Yeah. Oops, all hammers. It just isn't going to work anymore.
No, I agree. I agree completely. Now, at the same time, you still need like 2 strong hammer units that can threaten enemies, but those can vary, right? So like you were sharing a list you're working on, right? And you had like 10 Chaos Knights and some Therodons, right? It was, I think, what was going on in your thing. That seemed pretty appropriate to me. That's about 860 points, right? For those 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then did you have the Myrmidon in your list? I don't remember.
Yeah, I had the Myrmidon to go with the Therodons.
Right. And let me tell you what, I am a Myrmidon stan. Love that dude.
Absolutely. I had him almost solo a Bastillodon in the last game I played.
He's amazing. He hits so much harder than people think. I love him. He's great. Like absolutely part of my 10 hero chaos list is a Myrmidon every time. And he just makes the Therodon so good because the chain pile in with the +1 to hit is like exactly what you need. So like my general feeling is you're gonna have 800 points to 1,000 points, something like that, in hammers. Okay. This is rough, right? And then you're going to split up everything else. Like what you want for the rest of your army is like as close to basically like 150 point units you can get that are fast, mobile, effective, do things, right? That's kind of your, if I was going to just summarize list building, it would be that, right?
Yeah. 100%.
Okay. Movement abilities, especially anything unusual that could allow an off-turn teleport, are very strong. So if the unit has its own built-in off-turn teleport, like that Gore Warden guy, or if you have an off-turn teleport spell or prayer, right, that's super powerful. If you have somebody who's like really, really fast or can move in unusual phases, that's really powerful, right? Okay.
Skitterleap is very valuable now.
Yep, exactly. Brawny will talk about it because I do think it is really valuable. Like just in our games, like I've gotten in 7 games now under the new GHB, and what I found is that like building towards the battle tactics, regardless of not just like, and I've only done scouts 1 game. Even outside of that, like having more units was just highly, highly valuable for reasons I'll talk about in a moment. High mobility shooting units, I think, are very powerful. I think like stationary shooting units, mostly bad. Okay.
Yeah. Like your Blissbarb Seekers, like stonks on those guys.
Right, exactly. The Zangor, I'm on a disc and I shoot people. Skyfires. There we go. That's their name, right? Super fast, ignore penalties to hits. They're never taking like cover penalties and stuff like that. You know, like they can generally get around to where they're not having to worry about obscuring because people aren't going to pile their whole army onto obscuring terrain. It's just actually not possible, right? Or obscuring objectives, stuff like that. There will be stuff that they can target, right? So just anything that can have like a good amount of mobility and decent shooting, great. Like very valuable to me. On the flip side of that, like castle stationary armies are as close to dead as possible. Like they're in a coma at minimum with like very low life support or life signs. Okay.
Yeah. Pretty much all of the battle tactics now require you to get up and move and do something.
Yeah. Like you're just going to want to be moving around the board because it's not like, yes, agreed, completely agreed. And a lot of the scenarios demand you to move a lot, right? Like the objectives that are really valuable are moving around the board or switching objectives or disappearing or right? Like, or are very, very, very far apart, right? So, and I agree, like crossbows actually may be interesting because they can like shoot through things they can't see. So that's the little stacking limit. It's the little, I don't remember their actual name. Everybody just calls them crossbows, but it's in Night Haunt. There's like a little crossbow unit that can shoot through, they can shoot at things they can't see because they have like spiritual shooty boys. Anyways, they shoot your emotions. Yeah. I feel sad.
It feels. Got me.
Yeah, he got me with the sads. They hit you and it's like they make you feel bad about that time that you accidentally like peed your pants in like 2nd grade or something and everybody saw you. You're like, you have a traumatic memory. You're like, oh no, I remember that. I was so embarrassed. You just flee from the battlefield. Okay. All right. At any rate, and then this is the last point. I think this is what I've noticed the most. Oh, Craven Guard. That's their name. Good call, Hades. Thank you. Would have never remembered that. They've just been crossbows for so long. Depression Cupids. Yes, there you go.
I think that's what we all called them before we knew what their name was, and that's why it stuck so.
Okay. Here's my final thought. I kind of mentioned this already, but the average area of the board you have to cover. So I've played through in all. I've done 7 games. I've done 7 out of the 12 scenarios. Okay, so I haven't replayed any of the scenarios yet because I'm not going to replay anything when I'm learning. Right, we're going through them, not in order, just doing them randomly. And 2 things I've noted. One, the number of objectives is higher on average, but also they're farther apart. Just like if you heat map, so Brendan, our mutual friend and the Lord of Death, who's been on the show a couple times, friend of the show, Brendan, he actually plotted them all and did a heat map, okay, of like positionality of the objectives. And he did it in the previous GHB against this one. And it's fascinating how much the heat moves like this out.
Yeah, I've definitely been feeling that. I end up with units that are just, they're downtown and by themselves.
Yep.
But they need to be there to be holding some objective for some reason.
Yeah. My biggest concern is a lot of my like 5, even maybe 7-inch moving infantry. I'm like, oh my God, you're so far away. You're never getting anywhere of value, right? Like I've got to be moving 10 or 12 inches to get anywhere is what I'm often feeling like. So yeah, yes, it is objective entropy. That's right. Yes, they're moving farther and farther apart until the heat death of the universe. So just like the average area of the board you have to cover is a lot farther. A lot more of these are asking you. So 2 of the missions in particular, at least 2, there might be more. I've got to go through and reread the Underdog again, but 2 of the ones we've ran into so far, which is the one with Grasping Thorns. I don't remember what the name of it is, but like the Underdog thing is called Grasping Thorns. And then the Paths of the Fae, they'll like pick you up and set you back down, teleporty one. Both of those, you cannot put a hammer on an objective in that game. You just can't. Like in either of those games, if your hammer touches an objective, your opponents, if they are smart, will immediately go underdog against you, if it is all possible. And then they will lock your unit down and you will not move that unit for 2 turns. Okay. And your hammer will sit there until they eventually move enough of their army into kill the rest of your army as your hammer is sitting there locked, as 500 points to your army is just not playing the game. Okay. And they will either kill your other stuff or be able to just easily move in other things into position to blow them out of the water and kill your hammer with no clap. Right. So 2 of them want to do that. That's terrible. So you've got to have other throwaway units who can go stand on an objective and not worry about like, oh, if this gets stuck there, who cares? That's 1. 2, several of the scenarios the objectives move around. So you've got to be like moving with them. You got to be very mobile if you want to have that. So it's just like a lot of pressures to constantly make you be moving very, very far and to have lots of coverage to get across the board. Right?
Yep.
Okay. Is there anything I missed? Anything you've noticed in playing or thought about in your reading? Anything that's occurred to you?
I think there's going to be armies that are going to do well that we haven't expected.
Okay.
Some things that probably haven't done well in a while. But yeah, absolutely. MSU is a major thing. Building into your battle tactics is going to be massive. Yep. There are some armies that I'm sure is what we're going to get to in the tier list. Some armies just can't do the battle tactics. They can, but like,
oh no, you're right. There's literally armies where it's just like, okay, I'll take these 2 moderate to subpar choices. That's what you're making, right? Whereas there are some armies that you're like, oh, I've got these on lock. Right?
Yeah, and there are some armies that just can't really do the MSU thing. Like they don't have like the quick, small, cheap units to do those sorts of things. The other thing that I would mention too is that I think chaff is back.
Yes. Agreed. Good point. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that completely. I think you can actually, because like chaff just plays a lot of roles, you're going to have a higher number of units. Absolutely. I have put chaff in like most of my list now, or some version of that kind of concept. Yes.
Yep.
Yep. Okay, I agree. All right. So that's the assumptions. Yeah, not you, Hobgrots. Yeah, you're cool. You're cool. You're cool. You, yeah, not Hobgrots. Get out of here. We'll talk about cool boys in a minute, but Hobgrots are still completely pointless as a unit. Yes, sadly, and will be for the foreseeable future. Either make chaos dwarves or don't. Stop it. What are we doing here with these? I stop with this. Stop it. Get help. Okay. All right. So, with that, Paul, let's hit up that tier list, shall we? Let's get into some hot tier list action. All right.
Love the tier list.
Now, Paul,
Nothing hits like tier list.
that's right. Now, Paul, I could have done a standard tier list. We could just be doing S, A, B, C, D, E, or whatever, like a basic, right? Like a basic chump. But we're not going to do that.
But of course we can. It's Warhammer Weekly. We just can't do that.
That's right. Of course, we're going to be in PowerPoint here, and we're going to be. I believe that tier lists never need more than 3 categories. Okay, I believe in the triage system. Okay, so we've got 3 categories here. In honor of Halo, our green good best category is just called big. Okay, that's people who you got the touch for this current season. You've got the power. Okay. Then we have the middle tier, which is just called exists, right? Like they're not incredibly good. They're not incredibly bad. It's fine. You'll play some games. You're all right. You'll probably get some good games in. If you practice with them and have some good skill, you'll do all right. Right? You probably can put some good wins on the board, right? And then we have the bottom tier, which we're just calling cooked. That's it. Okay. So yes, this is the BEC tier. Big, exists, and cooked. That's the only 3 categories we need. All right. Okay. All right. So let's start with one that I want to talk about because it's fun and stupid. I played it. I wanted to try it. Myself and an opponent, we did a worst off. So what I mean by that is we both picked an army that we thought was terrible in the new meta and would suck, okay, and played them against each other. You understand what I'm saying? Like we both picked just what we thought would be the worst aligned armies to the new season. So what did I pick, Paul? When I was looking to pick the worst possible army for the new season, what did I pick? What do you think?
Going with the cross section of armies that are struggling with armies that I know you own, I'm going to go with Sons of Bahamut.
Ding, ding. Points to you. That's right. Let's start with Sons of Bahamut. This is absolutely at the... Oh, that is very funny. I have to do this real quick. Give me a second. I forgot to send them to the back. One moment while we just do some live PowerPoint editing here. Here we go. All right, so there they are. Sons of Bahamut. They're down there. They're fully at the bottom. Get them in cooked. Sons... absolutely terrible. I have never had a worse play experience than trying to do this. I took both the hammer battle tactics, like the just go kill stuff battle tactics, as it were, or, as close to that. Still couldn't achieve them. Now, I was playing against KO, and they rolled me, Paul. Rolled me. We did not get past turn 2. And it was just like, well, I got nothing. We're dead. I mean, I wasn't tabled, but I was dead.
I had a game against Sons of Bahamut as well, and I think he scored 1 battle tactic the whole game.
Right. Yeah. That's right. Now, standard disclaimer here. If you take the Regiment of Renown for the little goblin boys that you can put in here, then you actually can go do battle tactics. So that's nice. But I am not taking dumb goblins in my giant army. Okay. Like, I'm not doing it. I didn't get into giants to play goblins. That's stupid. But, like, if you're determined to play giants and you want to play them competitively, that's how you can do it. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, that's really saying something about the Gitz army, not about Sons of Bahamut, right?
Right.
it's so rough that you need to bring in an army that doesn't suck.
Right. Yes. Exactly. Yes, Cygnus, somebody. Okay, so at any rate, yes, there you go. Somebody once told me the Sky Dwarves would just roll me. Yes, indeed. And they did. So why don't we just tackle the other side of that particular showdown here right now? I got to find them over here on the side. There they are. There's those morons. So yeah, Caradron Overlords. I want to put them above the they're better off than Suns. I think they're still pretty cooked. Let me just say that. But they're at least the top of the cooked tier. Okay. So, yeah. But they're better off, but still bad. Right. It's a tough role for them as well.
Yeah, all of the obscuring stuff is going to be a major problem for them.
Yep.
And they just don't have like good, cheap units to go, zip around the board and be taking objectives and doing battle tactics. Like they're going to struggle with a lot of battle tactics.
Yep. Now, caveat, who knows what the new battle tome will portend. We just talked about new units that they're getting and stuff like that. We got a new tome. We got some new units coming. Who knows, right? The whole world could completely change. And if it does, great. Then, as great. I'm very happy about that. As it stands right now, I think they're going to what's that?
Who knows what that porta-john does?
Yeah, who exactly? Maybe the porta potty is the answer for all of our questions, right? I think that, but I think as they currently exist, they will struggle. I mean, it was fun for them to fight Suns because I literally can't get obscuring, right? I cannot benefit from it because I'm all big monsters, so they could just always be shooting me, right? But otherwise it would be rough especially if people can like hide on objectives. The first thing we do now in most of our games is make sure, like, what happens in most games now that I have played is you start with a hero relatively near a place of power, because on most of the maps, I think like 6 or 7 out of the 12, you start within range of a place of power. Okay. And you immediately activate that place of power and turn an objective you're on obscuring. That's just your start of turn activity, right? Why not? And just like boop, there you go. Can't see me. Okay. So at any rate,
make every objective John Cena.
Every objective is just John Cena. Yes, that's correct. All right. Cool. Well, I picked these two. Paul, who do you want to tee up next? Who you got? Who you got?
I think corn might be interesting to talk about.
All right, sure. Okay, let's do corn. So, where are these idiots at? Where are you at, corn? You're in here somewhere. Okay, somewhere. Why can't I find them? You keep going. Talk about corn while I find corn. There they are.
Looks like they're like bottom right.
Yeah.
If I'm seeing correctly.
There he is. There's corn. All right, where do you want to put him?
I would put them, I think, at the top of exists, like kind of almost big, not quite there, but I think they're going to be solid, especially in the hands of an experienced, skilled corn player. I think they'll be able to do well in like the hands of somebody that's really good. If they're not so much, they're probably going to be middling.
No, I agree. I think as currently constituted, we're mostly talking about a top of exists. High skill players will be able to do quite well with them. Now, obviously, we got a new book coming again for Corn, right? So with Corn, KO, and IDK, like all of them are kind of up in the air as they stand because they could all change very fast, right? Corn's downside is they don't have a lot of the speed, the raw speed that's often worthwhile. And if things are like bigger and more spread out, they're like murderless tricks and stuff like that aren't as valuable, right? Because like just moving around 3 inches, I mean, it's cool. It's movement out of phase, which is good, but it's not a lot of movement, right? Yeah, Brian said, don't you realize they're getting a new foot hero? Yeah, that could change everything. This changes everything. Yeah, there's no more 4 Bloodthirster list. That's for sure. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah. And
So
I think that is going to be a healthy thing for the game overall. I think we're not going to see the spam big thing list as much.
right. Right. I agree. So it'll be interesting to see what does the book portend. I think as they stand right now, I agree with you. Top of exists, completely on board. But a lot could change. And
Yeah.
it would be really funny to me, Paul. I'll tell you right now, if we got more of the like heroes can go inside other heroes a lot, like that sort of thing. If we got more of that in the book, where you could just like pile all of the funny little corn heroes and they all were like super cheap in there. So you could just have regiments full of these little foot heroes. There actually could be some
Yeah.
interesting play in that if they got if they got a sort of S2D equivalent battle formation that was like bonusing all those heroes in some way, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. What I think we might have neglected on our summary as well is I think we're not going to see as much of 1 and 2 drops anymore. I think we're going to see more drops.
I think on average the drops will move up by like in toto. My guess is the drops will move up by 0.7 drops.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. Like if you summarized everything, averaged it all out, I think you'll move up by 0.7. We'll see. I think you'll just see more because I think you'll see on average an increase in the number of 3 drops, blah, blah, blah. So like your 2 and 3 drops will invert. 1 drops will basically disappear. It should amount to about that. That's the logic behind my guess. All right. Well, Martin Orlando, I can't refuse you. I can't quit you, Martin. So we'll do it. Here we go. Martin said LRL. Please do LRL next. Sure. I have an answer for LRL. Paul, I'm interested for your take. I'm going to put them kind of right here in big, not up at the top, but they're in big. I think LRL are pretty well aligned for the new season. That's what I think.
Yeah. I definitely agree. Like they're not going to be like, again, it's going to depend a lot on the skill of the player. It's just one of those kind of Johnny-esque armies where that kind of happens, but
yep. It is a very
yeah,
Johnny
like
army. Yeah.
And if you're not tuned in to the Johnny tricks, then it's going to be a little bit of a struggle, but it's going to be a really solid army. They have a lot of the right tools. They have a lot of fast stuff.
Yep.
They have units that can be solid hammers. They have some solid anvils. They've got some stuff that can be kind of chaff-like. So there's a good selection of units, which I think, by the way, is going to be one of the big things overall. I think the armies with a bigger roster, my prediction at the end of this, the armies in the big category are going to be mostly ones with a fairly large roster.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. Tori, hey, how you doing? Don't worry, we're gonna have some fun thoughts on Skaven. Hall said 250 point infinite damage hero that tanks the world and comes back to life for nothing. I think they'll be good. Yeah, I mean, Light of Eltharion, the Soggy Eltharion is really good, but I don't even think he's where the juice is. LNRD, who said, I hope that the good LRL build is techless and a ton of Venari. LNRD, I am sorry to disappoint you. That is not the good build. Okay? It is not. The good build with them will be like, I'm sure there'll be some Venari in there. There'll probably be some amount of wardens. But the pieces they have that are super valuable, wind chargers, like 100% great. Regular, like the Huracan people in general, high movement, the high mobility shooting, the river blades, crazy, weird, out of phase movement. Like all of those things are really, really, really strong, right? They have their general spell that they can use that just gets you that just adds more to your movement. So stuff like that. Probably having maybe some 5 packs of Dawn Riders potentially. I'm not sure yet. Like I'm not an LRL fan. I haven't list built with them, but definitely the Kangaroos, the River Blades, the Light of Soggy Eltharion, and maybe even the twins. Honestly, I could see the twins working their way into lists. So yeah. I just think all of those pieces are really, really strong together. Brano, I just think River Blades are still really good. Like, I think their movement capabilities are still just really strong in what they allow you to do. So, I mean, they're still actually like for capturing territory and stuff like that. They can still be really good. There's just a lot of things that they are quite strong at. So, so I mean, at any rate, I think like in general, a slightly more Huracan focused list, but not completely, is probably the way to go. Okay. All right, let's see. Next up, Stormcast, the poster boys. I mean, let's just put them up here at the top of big, shall we? Let's just go ahead and do that.
Absolutely.
It's where they belong.
100%.
These guys have everything they
have
want.
Lots of, yeah, the deep strike, the teleporting, massive bench of different units with lots of different roles. They basically just have
automatic off-turn teleporting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not even a roll to it anymore, because you can just fire off the banner that lets you just get a 7 and just be like, nope, bye. Yeah.
Yep. See ya.
So
huge.
Yeah, I mean, they're I think like I think a pack of dragons is really strong. I think that there's like I played against a Stormcast list this weekend that was really, really good, really unusual in what it consisted of. Like it had some dragons and a relictor and like there's a wide selection of stuff. It had lots of little units here and there. It used the whatever they're like those 3 people who are a unit and a wizard, but not like a, you know, but not an actual hero. All that stuff, right? And so like I mean, literally just pinning down that army and like trying to match with it was so hard. It was so effective. Absolutely blew me away. So I think Stormcast are just primed for like a huge amount of space in this. Yeah, the Storm Coven. Thank you. That's the name of them. Yep. So they're on point. Okay. Let's turn to maybe a bit sadder place. Ossiarch Bone Reapers. What do you think about these guys? Where are the Boner Boys?
I mean, I have seen them play a bit.
Yeah.
Did pretty okay. So I feel like they might be like smack dab in the middle, personally.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's interesting to me. Their soggy options were okay.
Yeah.
I kind of think they're maybe I agree with you, they're in exists. But I'd put them a little lower in exists, honestly, is where my feeling is.
Yeah.
Like just not they're not down there and cooked, but man, they've still got some challenges. So kind of bottom half of exists. You feel okay with that?
Yeah, I'm totally good with that. I think that's one of the player that I saw running it is a very experienced, very good OBR player. So I like just in piloting it, I think is like the exception.
Right.
I think very middle tier towards the bottom. I think your average player is probably going to struggle with them.
Yep. Okay. Cool. All right. Next up, somebody asked for it. I don't know why, but let's just get him out of the way now. Fire Slayers. What's this army doing?
I mean, they bring the pizza oven to cook them.
Yeah, indeed. Don't worry, we'll have rat commentary, Crispy. It's coming.
Oh yeah, yeah. But I have played against Fire Slayers.
Yeah.
But it was basically a meme list that no one's going to be able to build.
Sure.
It was 7 Magmadroths.
Sure. Like they have the new soggy Magmadroth build, and I don't think that's terrible, but it's a very like hammer forward list. I don't know what it's actually doing much against like highly mobile, I want to engage less, I pick you apart, I choose my fights list. I think they're like, I don't think they're cashed out. I think soggy rules did give them a good angle. but they're also slow outside of the Droths. Even the Droths aren't like that fast, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
my feeling is they're probably like the bottom of exists is where it is.
Yep.
You know, they can like see cooked over the fence, but they're not quite there yet. They're staying over here for now. They're not that bad. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. They're, if you run anything other than a heavy Magmadroth list, I think you're pretty cooked. If you've got a bunch of Magmadroths, you might do okay.
Yeah. We're kind of down right there. So we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I mean, look, I could end up totally wrong. People could be dropping some hot Fire Slayers tech. I'm not seeing. I'll admit I'm not as close to the army, but to me it seems like they're there. They're gonna have some heavy headwinds, but it's like possible if you're really decent. Okay, cool. All right. Let's continue here. Let's do some ogres. And with ogres it's challenging because obviously, let me say this. I think the like all BCR list, I don't know what the heck that's doing in this edition. I really don't.
No. Yeah. But they do have their kitty cats, which are that sort of like chaff quick unit that you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
They have a couple of good tools. The new Iron Blaster seems decent.
I agree. I don't hate the new soggy Iron Blaster. By the way, Chuck asked, haven't caught many streams before this. What does Vince mean by soggy? Sure, I'm happy to tell you there, Chuck. So recently we got a bunch of online expansion rules, which was great. They were all free. You can find them all on the Warhammer community site. And they were called the Scourge of Gyran, or SOG. So we've taken to call them soggy rules. So it's the expansion war scrolls and rules we got in the Scourge of Gyran, or soggy expansion. Okay, at any rate, continue, Paul.
I think they're going to struggle other than that, though. I think they're going to be in exists. They're definitely not big.
I agree. Sadly.
I don't think they're cooked either. Like they're kind of in the middle somewhere.
Mm-hmm. I think they've got a couple interesting tools that might work in weird ways here. Like it could be the Blood Pelt Hunter is actually worth something for the first time ever. I don't know. It's possible. Okay. I think their infantry, especially like just Gluttons or the other guys, what are they? The thing they released the new kit for. Or angry. Whatever they are. Somebody put in the chat.
Thinking on that.
I think it begins with a G.
Gorgers?
There it is.
Gorgers.
We got there. Yeah, those guys, I think they're both good. That's weird. Gluttons and Gorgers. Huh. I hadn't thought about that before. Okay. And I think that all has potential. I think like kind of some kind of mixed list is where you want to be. I think they're still having a problem with their hammers are still kind of weak. Thank you both. Thank you both for the chat. I'm using Parks and Latin Latino. Yeah, very good. But yeah, I agree. For now, I'm thinking middle of middle. Right? Like if you're assuming you're running a versatile list. So Halo, I think, is screwed, right? He's in for a rough season. So sorry, Halo, in advance. But I think for everybody else, it's just it's middle of middle, right? So yeah. Okay.
I mean, they bring pot for cooking.
Yeah, indeed. One. Yeah, they could easily. He brings the. Well, I think he brings the maw instead, unfortunately. So that's a shame because he is cooked. All right. Let's talk about Night Haunt. Where are the ghosty boys going? We talked about the value of crossbows. They have a lot of movement. They're never going to benefit from obscuring because they can fly.
Yeah.
So everybody can always shoot them.
Outside of all attack.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
That's right.
Like they're not going to get hurt by all attack.
Yep. They still have their discorporate thing or whatever as well. Right?
Yep.
So, which is better than all out defense now.
Yeah. I feel like go
ahead.
They're going to do pretty well.
I agree. I think the new soggy black coach is just like, that thing is lit. It rules. Okay. It's so good.
Yeah.
Um, I think that the reality is I just don't think a lot of people are going to have a lot of standard shooting that's going to hit them. And like, okay, yes, the mobile shooting can always tag them, but I think that's what people are going to have, right? Mostly. Okay.
Yeah.
It'll be like it's there to pepper and weaken, not kill or destroy. I think
Mhm.
crossbows are real. I think the black coach is real. I think Lady O got cheaper, who I like a lot. I think they've got decent enough mobility. They've still got the what are they, Dread Scythe Herodins or whatever the name is, the teleporty guys, right? It's
Yeah.
it's only on turn now, but it's still good. So my
Mhm.
answer is I think they still have a damage problem, right?
Mhm.
Um, but I think that matters a lot less now than it did in
Yeah.
the previous season, right? So
Mhm.
in my mind, they're like basically at the bottom of big with just like the tiniest toe into exist. But like they are 70% in big, is basically what I'm gonna say.
Yeah. That, that's exactly where I would have put them.
Yeah. So I think they've got a lot of things actually, like I think on net they have a lot of bonuses and penalties, or whatever you want to say, puts and takes, however you want to think about it. But the reality is a lot of their weaknesses are just actually minimized in the current season. Like we're just not going to see a ton of shooting, which they're going to be weak to. So okay, cool, that doesn't matter, and on and on and on, right? So yeah, okay,
Mhm.
cool. All right, who's next? Let's get these guys out of the way. Flesh Eater Courts, FEC. They were up, they were down, they're all around. Where are FEC going?
I don't really have a read on them so far. Um, and I'm not super familiar with the army right now.
Mm-hmm.
So, what are your thoughts on it?
Okay, here's my read on FEC. I think what we saw at the end there of the last go round, the last GHB, especially with the pre FAQ lists, was like a lot of ghoul and the Bat Knight spam. Okay.
Mhm.
I don't know if that list has the right combination of tools anymore, especially post the FAQ. I think they do have some very fun movement capabilities going on. I think the knights and the recursion is still are still strong enough.
Yeah.
I think that they are still very fragile, but I think it matters less in a world where everybody's not just all hammers. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, and I think they've got pretty decent battle tactic play. Not amazing, but pretty good. Like they're going to be able to pick two of them and feel like they've got a good run at 4 to 5 in most games, is my read on them.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
Sounds like everything you're saying that's positive has a qualifier, though.
yeah, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. Yes. They're like, they're like good, but, right? So, in my
Yeah.
mind, they're kind of the opposite of Night Haunt, where they're like they've got a little toe into big. They can see it. They're riding that fence, but they're mostly in exists, right?
Mhm.
Um, so that's kind of where I think they fall. Um, yeah, that's it. That's
Mhm.
pretty straightforward. Okay, cool. Let's talk about one of the more challenging armies, Sylvaneth. Oh boy. Okay, positives and negatives, right? Okay.
They have a lot of mobility.
Yes. Teleporting everywhere. They've got that crazy new soggy list where every one of their heroes can like teleport through the woods every round. Just nuts.
Mhm.
Okay. Like that's insane. They can strike and fade and pull themselves back. Downside, all of that we just described is limited by their stupid terrain, which we've already talked about being a huge limitation. Everybody lands charges against these guys all the time, anytime they want to, period. Either one of two things is true when you're playing this army. Either you don't get your woods out, Okay. And then all of your movement tricks shut off to some degree or another, or are very limited at best. Right. Or two, you do get all your woods off and everybody charges you with everything all the time whenever they want. Everything always sunny. Beach party forever. Let's go. Right? Like those are the two worlds.
Yep.
Okay. So that's rough. Um and so like um let's see. Kual says played Sylvaneth last weekend. Charged terrain, kept my dudes outside 3 inches, killed all his stuff elsewhere, then piled in. What a time. Yeah, sure. Right. Um, this army is back, by the way, Paul. I've played against this since the Soggy expansion, and it is funny
Yep.
because with the Soggy expansion rules, they're back to like they can build their I would like to execute on this plan. You remember playing Sylvaneth back in the day where it was like, oh, you don't need to be here. I've got a plan and I'm
Mhm.
just going to execute it. Either I'm going to win or lose based on some dice rolls, right? You, my opponent, are kind of ancillary to this experience, right?
Yeah.
They're not completely back to that, but they're back to certainly where they can just be like, okay, at the top of one, I do this, then this, then this, then this, then this, right? It's just like in order. Here we go. They can run that as a strategy now. I'm not saying they have to. I'm saying they can. So that's interesting. In the end, my feeling with Sylvaneth is the skill floor on running these guys well is really high. Okay. Like stuff like Dryka and the twist wield, being able to sap the strength out of charges really effectively
Mhm.
is so strong. So strong. Like Dryka is crazy good. Okay. The fact that you could be in a position to potentially be sapping, a key charge from the opponent of 2d3 inches, right? If they're not anywhere
Mhm.
near the woods where it doesn't matter, and even if they roll the 2, they still get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Is so strong. But then there's the woods thing. So they have like they're the new bugs being able to pass out a 5-up ward. Really good. Their flying bug people are really fast. They have the
Yeah.
teleporty toot toot, elf tree people, right? Like
Yeah.
so much movement, and yet they also like Kurnoth, who are your actual tough units, are very hard to move around the board and get where you need them to be, right?
Yeah.
So it's just like
You can teleport
constant,
everything except what you really need to.
right? It's just like constant pros and cons, right? Now, I agree with Branu that the that scythes are like an incredible porcupine. My God, there are a few things in this game I hate worse than charging into 6 scythes. Okay. I'm just
Yeah.
like, oh God, this is gonna be awful. Okay.
I've made that mistake.
Yeah, I mean it's a terrible time. So like I don't know where they're gonna land except to say this. I think I think this army will look like an inverse bell curve. Okay. Right. I
Yeah.
talked about the Soggy Revenant Seekers. I said they were really good. I said they were really good. I agree. I think they're really good. I think
Mhm.
there's gonna be a lot of people who are going to lose with these like crazy, and a lot of people who are going to win with these like crazy. Okay.
Yep.
I think this will be a skill dependent army on the level with IDK. Okay.
Mhm.
And where that ultimately lands them for me is kind of the top of exists because I think they have some good native things going on, but they have a lot of weaknesses that are just keeping them out of big. Right.
Yep.
I just think that's the only way I can see them. So,
Yeah. Would agree.
okay. Gloom Spite Geats. Geats. How you feeling about them? What you think?
With the most recent release with all the Wolfie boys,
Mm-hmm.
they do have some decent quick stuff. And they've got some options in general. Like they're a bigger bench army. Um, Historically not super powerful though.
Right.
So uh I'm not sure if they're gonna quite make it into big, but they're they're I think they're going to be decent.
Yeah. I think the lists that we're going to see are going to change a lot, right? Like, I don't think seeing a bunch of slow moving trolls walking around the table is going to be the list like it was for, like, one of their primary
Yeah.
lists.
Not at all.
I think wolf riders are really good. I think there's some squig units that are really good. I think we're going to see people play around with like goblin stabba or shoota spam of a kind. I'm not saying like 1,000 points of it. I'm saying like they'll roll out like 4 units of 20 or 2 units of 40 or a unit of 40 and 2 units of 20 or something like that, just for just like general massive board presence, because it costs so little points, right? Like that whole mix is like 480 points, right? And that's 80 wounds. Okay.
Yeah.
So like I think some mix of all of that is going to be where we see the lists. And I think somewhere in that mix they can pick up a lot of different battle tactics. I think they got a lot of different play. My general feeling is they're going to feel a lot like Flesh Eater Courts, where they're like at the top of exists with a little toe into big for the right list, the right players, because they do have some favorable things going for them, but they're still going to have, what keeps them out of going like full big is I think they've got some really tough matchups, right?
Yeah.
I do think the new Doom Diver, I have talked about the problem with like stationary shooting things, but I do think the new Doom Diver is really interesting. And I think it'll still show up as like a one-off in list, because if something pokes its head out, which it will have to eventually, right? Like things will have to go into the open eventually. That Doom Diver just is a really good answer to put pressure on it from afar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think outside of like a few, that's true. Yeah. The Soggy, I didn't even think about Soggy the Loon Splattas, the like 70 point lunatics, right? They're just like cheap as chips and have a lot of value. Yeah, that's a great point, Branu. I forgot all about the Soggy Loon Smashes. Yeah, I agree. So at any rate, whatever they're called. Yeah. The Spore Splattas, the ones with the mushrooms on the end, not the heavy metal balls. Yes. That are like 70 points. Yeah, I agree. Okay. Cool. Good. So, all right, great. Let's talk about one close to both of our hearts. Slaves to Darkness.
They're going to hang out with Stormcast, I think.
Yeah, I think they're a little lower. They don't have quite the tricks. They don't have quite the, the sort of, they don't have as much as far as like the super valuable things like the off-turn teleports that are automatic and stuff like that. But I agree with you.
Yeah.
They have so many strengths, right?
Yeah. And a bunch of things got points decreases, like 70-point chariots is crazy good.
Yep, they are. They're really good.
Like they're great chaff. They're great for doing battle tactics.
Yep.
They're great to just kind of bog stuff down and get it in the way on the flanks. Your Furies are still really good. You have really strong hammers, really strong anvils. That new sub-faction that's giving all of your heroes extra attacks is just bananas. I think that's going to do a lot better than people might think. It's going to
It's so good.
Some of those dumb foot heroes actually really, really good.
You can free turn one of your exalted heroes into a demon prince with a very easy suicide play that also benefits you and gets you a battle tactic. Like it's so easy to accomplish that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's an army that has a pretty deep bench. You've got options. You have most of your roles filled. You don't have any shooting really to speak of, but at the same time, this is a season that shooting is not going to be good. So you don't have to worry about that.
Yep. I agree. There's so much working in their favor. It's also just really fun. Like they're really fun in this season right now. I've been trying to complete that dumb RPG quest of leveling up a hero to become a demon prince for so long, and the last time I played him, I was able to use that new item or whatever and just like automatically turn into a demon prince, and I was like, oh, let's go. It feels amazing to play. You feel like you've got a lot of options and different play at different times. Being able to call the marks is really potent. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's good. Like it's just they're good.
Yeah.
Not quite Stormcast good, but they're on the level. Like that was the most recent game I had was I played Slaves against Stormcast, and it felt like it was a hell of a game. So
Yeah.
okay. Seraphon. Man, I don't know what to say about these guys. They have some interesting things. Like they got they have a deep bench, a lot of units. Sort of Croak Castle doesn't work. That's nothing.
Yeah.
But you've got some of the best like little scouty chaffy dudes in the game. Your skinkies dudes can just like run away now and do off turn crazy retreat nonsense. So that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Their classic list of like the Castle and Croak just doesn't really work anymore.
Right.
So I think I actually played against that list, and it was just completely one sided. Like the castle just doesn't do anything anymore. So I think that particular list is going to struggle, but as you said, it's another army with a deep bench. So there's a lot of good options in there that maybe people haven't even been using that much.
Yeah, the new little skinky cav, I think, have a lot of potential, right? Whatever those guys are called. Pterodon Riders or whatever, those guys as well are in the mix, right? You've got Agrodon still with the new Agrodon, or with the new Carnosaur, the Soggy Carnosaur, who can keep them ramped up as your like primary hammer. So I think there is play here.
Yeah, it's another army that I don't think quite makes it to big, but it's gonna hang around maybe on the higher end of exists, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree. I think where I come to is like this, where they're just like, yep, they're just like right there. And you know, so I think like ultimately you still got a good mix. Like you said, the armies that are going to respond well to this have a deep bench because they can just switch over to other units, right? And I think that's true. So, and they have a deep bench. It's Lizard Man, Lizard Man, Lizard Man. You tell him, Dave. Okay. All right. Very good. Oh, that's funny. They need to go away. I thought I got rid of them, but I didn't. Sir not appearing in this list. We'll go ahead and drop them down in the corner in remembrance. In the arms of the angels. So we'll just I thought I got rid of them already, but I didn't. I left Beastman on there. That's funny. Okay. Cool. Let's see. Who next? Here we go. Let's get on the struggle bus, shall we? Nurgle.
Yep. Oh, it makes me so sad. They're pretty cooked, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit to the higher end of cooked because they do have some options, but they're big, fat, slow. They're going to have a lot of trouble doing battle tactics. They don't have a lot of punch pretty much anywhere in the army. You know, I feel like the battle tactics either want you to have really powerful anvils or be really fast. And Nurgle does not have either one of those.
You mean hammers, but yes, I take your meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they're they just want to be like a castle army that has a couple of like great unclean ones poke out and kill stuff. Yeah, they're in trouble.
I mean, the new Rodigus is really cool. Like, Soggy Rodigus is cool as. Okay, I don't want to take away from that scroll. That's a great scroll. They did a wonderful job with him. But absolutely. This army on a wider board, like there are maps you play here where the objectives are like almost 40 inches apart. Okay.
Yeah.
What in the what? With this army? Right? Like you've got to have flies, and even your flies aren't that fast. Right? They're moving at the infantry speed of other armies. That is rough.
I think Gutrot Spume may have a lot more value than he's had in the past. That said, I think he's still not great.
Yeah.
So it's just an army that has none of the tricks that you need for this current season.
Agreed. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that just like ultimately it's going to be in a really rough spot. So, yup. We're so slide on down the road here, boys, right into that cooked territory. We'll give them a little toe out just for the potential of New Rodigus. New Rodigus is going to keep him slightly outside of being completely uncooked, right? So,
yeah, he's going to be a staple.
Well, I mean, Quoll, so like, this is a good question. Let's talk about this. Quoll said, are battle tactics being overvalued? Heard a lot of people saying the game is usually over by turn 3, which is often true. Which means the difference between scoring 3 tactics versus all 6 will make minimal difference. Well, remember, by turn 3, a highly skilled player with an army tuned to do their battle tactics can get all 30 points. They could go 1-1, 2-2, 3-3. That's very hard, but they could do it. Okay? But it doesn't matter. They're going to pick tactic combinations that if they beat you in turn 3, they can just say, I automatically complete the rest of my tactics out. Right? Like they're going to pick things that just like if you exist or not, they'll complete step 2 or step 3 or whatever, right? I think getting the gold will be a very popular one. That's like one of those hammer ones that I think, just kind of works, right? I think scouting type stuff will be very popular. That just works. Like if I kill you, I get all your gold. If you're dead, I can still do scouting stuff, right? Now, so I mean, in the games we played, so in that S2D versus Stormcast game that went to round 5, okay, and I lost by 1 battle tactic. Like that's because I couldn't nail my final battle tactic I needed to get because of how the opponent was able to teleport off turn. That's it. And that lost the game in round 5. Okay. So like it absolutely made the difference, right? And the reality is when I've built lists to do battle tactics, it's like, you're talking about most lists when you're trying to score them it ends up being about 50% of your score let me say it this way. It's a third of your total score. It's 50% equivalent because you're getting about 25 points out of them, roughly 50 out of the objectives or something. Usually it's more like 40 out of the objectives and 25 out of the tactics is what you're kind of going to end up with because of like 8-point turns and stuff like that. So it's still a really big deal, right?
Yeah.
And in my experience, no, they're actually making all the difference. Like if you can cover the bases, like building armies to be able to cover the objective bases and play the actual battle plans, if everybody's doing that, which is how we've been building our armies recently, like as we've been playing and testing, we're not building like 4 unit lists anymore. We're building the things that can actually cover that. Once that happens, then the battle tactics become the whole shooting match.
Yep.
Because the objective scoring ends up being quite even. Go ahead.
Yeah, there's a lot of these missions now. A lot of the battle plans have like their primary thing that you're scoring like 5 points a turn on is easy, almost automatic.
Right.
So you're getting like 25 points almost for free in most games.
Yeah, exactly. You're 100% correct. The vast majority of the games, you're pulling 5 by existing. Like if you're still in the game, you pulled 5.
Yeah. So, and the real remaining amount of points in the game, like you score 25 easily, then you've got another, what is that, like 55 that is remaining. You get diminishing returns on the other things from objectives typically. So it's a lot harder to do those, to snag those. So the place where you're really going to have the big margin versus your opponent is going to be in the battle tactics, just on like the math of it.
Right. Because it's generally 5, 3, 2. And if you break that down, as you said, the 5 is automatic. The 3 you can get most rounds, and the 2 is where you actually have to stretch, right? So you almost end at like 40 kind of automatically if you've been built to play the objectives at all, right? Because most of that is like hold 1, hold 2 is where you're pulling 5 and 3 in like I think 8 out of the 12 battle plans. I think that's the right number. I'd have to go back and look exactly, but something like that, right? So that means like both of you are just scoring 40, so that's just 0, right? Assuming one of you doesn't get tabled, right? So then it all comes down to the tactics because it's the other 10 points against the 30 points of the tactics. So, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. IDK. I'm going to keep this one short and sweet. Because again, we've got new book that we're about to do a review of, or, you know, sometime soon, whenever it comes out. Right now, they're like at the top of exists. They are a super high skill floor army, super high skill ceiling army. They have a lot of very fast speed and mobility. In the hands of a good player, they will shift up into big, no problem. In the hands of most players, they will downshift and have a rough time. It's that simple.
Yeah. 100%, which is basically where they've been prior to this as well.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Arrested Wallflower said, I like how the categories are good, other, and other, comma, bad. Yes, correct. That's exactly right. That's the only 3 categories you need in life. All right.
Yeah.
Soulblight Gravelords, SBG. I got a stance on these guys. I'm gonna come out hard, Paul. Here we go. I want your thoughts. These guys are big. They're big. I think Soulblight has all the juice they need to just come in like a wrecking ball. I think this army is incredible in the new season. Incredible. That is all.
Yeah, they are another army with a big bench. They have a lot of different tools. They have a good variety of different things that they can do, and you know, it's they have things at lower price points that are going to do effective things for you, which I think is going to be really valuable.
Right. Absolutely agreed. The like 100% Branu, I agree. Maybe the best tactics denial game in the army or in the game. They're so good at denying enemy tactics. They're so good at getting them themselves. Their recursion is so strong in its ability to both gain and deny battle tactics. Units like Direwolves are exceptionally amazing for what they can do. Things like the Vengorian Lord is super strong. Barrow Knights are an incredible hammer. Like they have every part of the recipe you want, right? They can move, they can be resilient, they can recur, they have all the pieces. I don't know what else they would do. Like they're so good. Yeah, like they are so well aligned to the new season. It's wild. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay. Disciples of Tzeentch.
That is a really interesting one. I think it's at very least the most successful lists are not going to be what we've seen a lot in the past with this
agreed
army.
Yep.
Because it loved castle builds where you just sit back and you cast lots of spells and
create your kill box, your 18-inch kill box around your castle. Yep.
Yep, exactly. But they've got Skyfires, they've got Zangor on discs, they have their regular Zangor and Acolytes. They have some other interesting options just kind of in there. So I mean, I think they're going to be. I feel like they're going to be hanging out in the exists category for the most part.
Yep.
And then you'll have your, Caleb Walters that is
sure
be winning tournaments with them.
Yeah, Caleb will change his list around and go 5-0. Like, but that's not a question, right? That's Caleb. So.
Yep.
I agree. Like in the strong category, you've got crazy Kairos battle tactic capability, which is really strong and good. You've got I agree. I think Skyfires are so strong. I think regular Zangors, exactly what you said, are so strong. Like, yeah, their magic is going to run into a lot of problem. If you read like the article from who was it? Season of War, I think it was when they posted. They were talking about like the Tzeentch army, and it mentions the obscuring like 500 times in the 4 paragraphs, right? Because that's a huge problem for them. So again, there's just they have some good tools, but there is also some foundational challenges here for them as well. I agree. I think they're like slightly upper middle exists.
Yep.
Okay.
Seems like we have a big cluster in that slightly upper middle sort of section.
Yeah, I mean, and that's probably to be expected, I suppose, right? Like that's if you think about sort of the way some of these books are, it's probably not that surprising. All right. Well, let's just get it out of the way now. Heed Knights of Slaanesh. Okay. Okay. The list I want to run will still suck in this new season. The way I want to play this army. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to set aside my personal biases here and say that I think there are a lot of things this army will have going in its favor. Boy, Branu does that nail it so well. You really just Branu just literally summarized the entire rant I'm about to go on in 2 words. Aggressively fine. Yes. That's it. Like they've got a lot of speed. They have a lot of fast moving units. They have a lot of things that can guarantee runs and retreats. They have cheap, very highly effective cavalry units, right? In your Hellstriders and your Seekers. These things are great scouts. They're good for doing a lot of different types of tactics. They can play as chaff really easily. They can go grab objectives really well. All of that stuff is good, right? Their points went down on a ton of key units, right? Like Sigvald is down to what, 200 points even right now? He's so good at 200 points as a bonus hero. It's crazy. There's just like a lot in their favor. Blissbarb Seekers, you mentioned earlier, right? Great. Really good unit in this current season. So, I think like all of that is in their favor. You're still made of paper.
Mm-hmm.
If the enemy hammers get a hold of you, you die instantly. But I think you can have enough units out on the board doing enough things that you can get to a good place. I've played Slaanesh once in the new season. No, sorry. Yeah, once. I only did one Slaanesh list so far. I made a second list, but I didn't play it yet. And it was okay, was the answer. It's like, okay. It was aggressively fine. That is the end of the rant, right? I was like, yeah, I could see how if I practiced with this, I could get to a pretty decent place. Like I would feel like I had game enough. So ultimately where I think they're going to land is kind of split. Mostly in exists, again, a little bit up into big because they do have some very strong advantages.
Yeah.
There you go.
Definitely. I like them personally because what is going to do well with them. It's my personal play style really well.
Right.
But I think if we're going to look at where the statistics are going to land, totally, like, they're probably not going to be taking down a lot of GTs.
No, I think you will see quite a lot of 3-2s and 4-1s with them. I think they'll be pretty well represented in that area. I really do.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Mm-hmm. Daughters of Cain. We got a lot of new elf support in the Soggy rules.
Yep.
Mid.
Very mid.
Very mid.
Yeah. They do have some deep strikey stuff, which can be very useful. But the majority of this is like hordes of murder ladies that die to a stiff breeze.
Right.
Right. So
yeah.
I feel like they're aggressively mid.
Okay. We've got some difference of opinion in the chat. A lot of people are voting for absolutely crazy cracked in the new one. Okay. I don't see it. I really don't. Now, that being said, I haven't played with the new Cthulhu yet. Or Cthulhu? whatever, the foot hero. Okay. And from what I've heard, that list is quite solid. So there's probably an angle there that I'm not taking into account. Okay. So here's what I'll say, chat. For those of you who are saying daughters are going to easily drift into big, okay, help me out. Like, let's see. Devin says my top 3 army. Cthulhu. Okay, so is it the Cthulhu thing and that list that's pushing everybody in there? Okay, gotcha. People saying yes. All right. I mean, yes, obviously life takers are great, no doubt about it. Okay, very good. I'm gonna listen to the chat. We'll move them up into low big. I agree. All right. I haven't played it yet. I'm looking forward to putting that list on the table. Dock are weak into castles, and castles are gone now. Super reliable movement tricks. Okay. Very nice. Very good. All right. It's the new prayer lore, to be honest. All right. I'm gonna have to play with all the new stuff. I haven't gotten to do my soggy playthrough with them yet. So some of my experience here is probably colored by not having experience with those new things. So okay, cool. Let's move them up. I hear you, chat, and you win. Let's put them up there in big. You have sold me and convinced me. All right. So cities, just way up in big, right? Like they're just in big. I think cities are really strong. Pontifex Zenestra is crazy good. There's so many like soggy Pontifex, soggy Zenestra, whatever. Like, they just have so much stuff going for them. Like, I think they're such, again, crazy deep bench, tons of interesting units that they can get out there for cheap, really strong board control, really good. I think they're good. I don't think they're Stormcast. I think they're basically S2D equivalent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I definitely agree. They're just an army that has a deep bench, lots of options, lots of things that fit in roles, and a lot of units that are pretty cheap that are filling those roles that you want for your cheap throwaway unit.
Yep. Okay. Lodovic said city should be 2/3 green and 1/3 holy F balls Pontifex. Yeah, I mean, look, I know Zenestra is really cracked, like she is. She's just like super cracked. But I don't think that's gonna last, is my short answer there. But I'm not dinging them for that. I'm saying, like, I think they're clearly in big, and I think they're probably in like the top 3-4 of big. Like they're up there right now. I'm saying, like, as they stand right now, I think they're in the top 3-4 of big. I think that in the long run, somebody's going to punch that Pontifex Zenestra in the face, right? That's what's going to happen. Pontiflex, indeed. Like, there's no way she rides that long for that good, right? But she's really strong as a centerpiece. Her teleport's crazy good and valuable. Her, like, the units themselves, the 3 cannon pack is also perfectly viable. Again, they don't move a ton, but somebody pokes their head out and you just like easily blow it right off, right? Command Corp is really crazy good at, like, what is it, 140 points right now for the Command Corp? Like, it's just crazy cheap. So yeah. Like, cities, again, has so many elements like S2D that puts them in there. To me, I think the only 2 armies I like better than them right now are Soul Blight and Stormcast. That's really it. Okay.
Agree.
Hey, Saul, great. He said first time, short time. Really enjoying your painting vids. Thank you. Oh, wonderful. I'm glad to have you along on the journey there, brother. All right, 2 armies left. Start with them cruel boys. Oh, just get right into big right now. What's that?
I knew you were going to save Skaven for last.
Yeah, we saved the best for last here. Of course. Of course.
Absolutely.
I mean, cruel boys just get right into big, right? They are. Like, yeah, probably not quite as good as cities, but not that far behind. Like, straight big. Crazy good movement tricks. Lots of fun things they want to do. They do have mobile shooting. They have a lot of very valid threats. Like they can gum up the works in a lot of plenty easy ways. Everything got like mega crazy cheaper. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, they're just really, really good.
Yeah. And good for Cruel Boys. They've been so bad for so long.
Yeah. I mean, now is the time. It is in fact, yes, it is in fact Cool Boy Summer. I agree. Um, they're good tactics deniers as well in a lot of cases. Not like all of them, but sort of situationally with like maybe 3 or 4 of the 6 tactic sheets, they can actually do some really good denial with. So I think it's a great time. If you've got a Cruel Boys army, you're feeling pretty happy right now, is my honest answer.
Yeah.
It's just, they're strong. They're good. Yeah. Okay. The Swamp Bogglers rise. It is time. Okay. All right. That's for Cool Boys here. Now, at the same time, as per usual, Paul, Auric War Clans is not just Cruel Boys. There's a second army here. Did you know there's a second army in this book, Paul?
I have heard.
Rumors abound that there's a second army in this book.
Yeah, whispered in the halls.
Yes, yes. It's the mythical Iron Jaws. So, of course, as per usual with this, what we have to do is go boop, boop, and we got a copy because this is always just 2 completely separate armies because it is 2 completely separate armies. Where do the Iron Jaws fit in this?
Whoa. I don't even know, man. They struggle with fast stuff and movement tricks, I think.
New pigs are good. Soggy pigs are good.
Yeah. New pigs are good. Yeah, I think a lot of what they're good at just isn't quite gonna get there. So my inclination is they're gonna be somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with you. I agree with Brana, who said kind of put him in the middle of exists. I think that's where they belong. I think if you have like new pigs, I think the new Weird Brute Rekkas have some play. I think there are tactics they can go get. I think they're often going to pick the kill hammer tactics, right? I agree. Thank you. Yes, I was just going to go there. The AOA nerf sucks for them. Like you're a 4 up to hit army. But if you take the new Weird Brutes and what's his name? Named Mega Boss on Maw Crusher, who eludes me, but whatever. The other guy who can give you +1 to hit, right? You can mitigate that to some degree. They have a new battle formation that's pretty decent. So, and they're still a very real threat, right? Like they actually can do damage. The formation that lets them like mighty destroyers around twice can actually, Gordrak, thank you, Arrested Wild House, is actually pretty interesting. Again, not super good on the wide boards where it's like 3 inches movement is only 3 inches movement. But if you can move 2 units around kind of all the time, that's actually, off turn, that's doing something. So yeah, probably middle to low exists, right? I don't know. We'll see. Probably like here is where I feel comfortable with them. Basically where OBR is, on about the same level.
Yep.
That feels right to me. Okay. Yes, there are definitely less blocks of 20-yard boys. I mean, you maybe have one still as like a center mass anvil potentially to absorb like Zograk's bonus or something. I don't know. But yeah. Okay, and last, and certainly not least, in fact, they're most, last and most, the Skaven, yes. The rats.
I am loving.
What are you feeling
right now?
What's that?
I'm loving Skaven right now.
Oh my god,
they feel really good to me. They have lots of sneaky tricks. That new Screaming Bell is actually finally good.
It's insane. I love it so much.
Yeah. And they have an off-turn teleport. They've got off-turn movement. They've got
potentially a ton of it.
Yeah. Yeah, potentially a ton, and not short distances always either.
Right.
And yet another army that has a pretty deep bench, so it's just gonna have a lot of options for you. Um, on paper, it almost looks like it's a slow army, but because of the sheer amount of movement tricks you have, it's actually quite fast. So, um, it seems like it might be a little bit lacking in good hammers, but it checks so many other boxes that I don't think that really matters.
Yeah. I agree. Your problem in the army is that you will feel like you're just like, wow, I can't do the damage that these other armies can do. Like that's just true, right? Um, like 6 packs of hopped up rat ogres are cool, okay, but they're not a 6 pack of Therodons. Cool, right?
They are not.
Um, but the Bell of Doom, the Screaming Bell, like giving bonus, like the new bell is so good with the pulse healing, the neg 1 to hit, the +2 movement. This is all like it's doing everything you want it to do. Rat ogres are really solid in like 2 packs of 6 around your bell. That's incredibly good. The um the fact that you can just create like a little healing nexus where if they don't kill you in 1 turn, you're just always back to full is incredible. Um, both the Soggy Brood Terror and frankly the original Brood Terror both have play, but I really like the new one because you can pass out the +1 to hit you really need. The like God, what else? Night Runners are incredible. Doom Flayers are amazing. Like a pack of Doom Flayers moving off turn under 3 claw steps is incredible, right? Because of how far it can go. Globadiers are ungodly cheap for what they can do if they're not answered, and no one cares about them. They're just 10 little dorks. In a world where shooting is so much diminished, no one's shooting them off the table. Those little morons just float around and then pop out of a null hole and just go to town because they can just like they can project so much power out of tiny little bases, right?
Mhm.
I love everything about this army. Now, and as you said, like tons of off-turn teleporting and teleporting in general, skitter leaping, going through your null holes, turning your bell into a null hole, just like crazy, crazy, crazy movement tricks, right? Um, and so like the problem with it is ultimately you are still an extremely fragile army that like loses things whenever you get hit, right? And so I've got 2 lists I'm playing with right now with Skaven, Paul. So one of them is a strong center healing list, okay? Focused mainly on like the bell and multiple Molder Masters or whatever, and Brood Terror and stuff like that, where like everything just goes back to full, that sort of thing I talked about, within small units like Flayers and Night Runners and a Doom Wheel and crazy crap like that to float around the edges and go threaten and take outside objectives and do those kinds of things, right? And then I have a second list I'm building that I'm still playing around with that's like literally based on I'm trying to see if I can move my entire army off turn.
I like that.
Like you go and then I go. Like your hero phase, I move like 2 units from 3 claw steps. Then you move and then I redeploy 3 units, right? Like that's what I like
Yeah.
kind of the list I'm trying to build into and see exactly how much I can make it work and how valuable it is. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm playing around with. At any rate, I don't think they have like the raw power of Stormcast, the raw viability of Soulblight. And they don't have a single unit that's so anchoring everything like Pontifex Sinestra, which is good, by the way, because like Sinestra is likely to get whacked in the kneecaps at some point in the future. But there's no single
Yeah.
piece here. What you have is like a wide range of pretty highly valuable components that play well into the new season that like are all well aligned, right? So to me, I think they're kind of in the same place as Cruel Boys, is where I think they fall.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of good play, a lot of good alignment, nothing incredibly broken, nothing incredibly strong, but just like good.
Yeah. Really solid.
I think you could pick multiple different tactic sheets and feel really good about your chances to get there with Skaven, just like by slightly altering your list and tilting into different things. I think they've probably got like 4 or 5 sheets that are fully playable by them, and that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there we go. In the end, we kind of, a bunch of stuff jumped into big at the end. Look at that. We came out into a pretty decent place. So I think that's a pretty good representation. Not much cooked in this season, really. It's not bad.
It's a nice spread, I think. And it kind of bell curves out pretty well. We have some that are a couple that are exceptional. There's a couple that are exceptionally bad, and then it kind of clusters kind of towards the middle of being solid but not overbearing.
Yeah. Tori asks, what do I think of Thankful? I mean, I love him. He's cool. I don't think I'd put him in a list right now. I think there's just too many other things I'd want in the list. I love lots of small heroes. I love the Bell, and I'm not going to take both the Bell and Thankful. That's what it comes down to. And between those two, Soggy Bell is my choice. So, yeah, that's really what it comes down to, Tori. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a pretty good looking spread. What it says is that most armies have play. That's not bad. I'm sorry to the Nurgle, Caradron Overlord, Sons of Bahamut players.
Yep.
You're in for a rough time. I mean, who knows? KO could change in whenever the book comes out, whatever I don't know, month, whatever, however long until it comes out, right? So that's not bad. And if their new tome actually gives them play, then we could be in a monumentally good season here. So I think this is good. All right, Paul, any final thoughts before we call it a night here and wrap it up?
No, I mean, I'm just loving that 3 out of the 4 armies that I have are pretty solid. And it's sad that my Maggotkin boys are going to struggle this season, but I've been playing them way too much anyway, so time to move on to some other things for a year.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I have people ask me why do I have a lot of armies? And it's well, because of this. Because it's just going to happen that some season or rule set's going to come along and I'm like, well, that army sucks to play now. So they go back on the shelf. So I got to have options. And what I'll say right now is S2D, playing that, incredibly fun. Skaven, playing that, incredibly fun, right? Been having a great time with both of those. I'm going to put my Iron Jaws back on the table. I'm going to keep banging my head against the Slanesh list. So I got options that I feel good about, but I got 2 lists running back and forth between S2D and Skaven. I've been having a great time and feeling yeah, this is well aligned. I have options. I play a good game and I like building the lists. And boy, is Skaven list building even better now. It was already one of the few shining examples from the last GHB rotation of actually semi-interesting to build lists with. Now it's man, it's great. Skaven is one of the most fun list building experiences. So, Will Lund, do you feel like we will see a lot less manifestations this season? Good question. Maybe some. Yes. On average, yes. I think we'll see less. That's my answer. I'm not sure exactly what makes me think that, other than in play so far, boy, have we not put out a lot of manifestations. It just hasn't been the right play. Sloth Bear, are Soggy Slangors or Celesk any good in your opinion? Soggy Celesk is really cool. Doesn't play into the newest season in an incredibly great way, is my answer. But it's really cool. I love it. It's exactly the kind of list I want to build. The list I want to build is 2 Keepers and Celesk and stuff like that, right? I'm just oh, that's a non-starter in this season. That's terrible. But I haven't played with the new Slangors yet. They could be good. I'm not sure. I don't know how much that off-turn movement-y thing when people use abilities actually matters. I will tell you that I've seen a lot more Aether Rot manifestations. Paul, I don't know if you've done a lot of list building, but I'm running the Aether Rot machineries or whatever. I already used that one quite a bit because I liked the racist swords and the little gears. Okay, Those were already two things that I really enjoyed in a lot of my armies that I built. And in the Skaven book, I was already using the Skaven manifestations, which are also free. So it wasn't a change for me, but boy, oh boy, do I find myself building 2000 being like, oh crap, well, Aetherot machineries it is.
Yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of the faction lores that don't cost any points.
Yeah. Agreed. I can't wait to see Aetherot machineries, which was at like 5% take rate or something like that in the previous stats. I can't wait to see it jump to like 35% by virtue of being one of the free generic manifestations.
Yeah.
At any rate, yeah, so there you go. Chuck said, I'm glad ogres aren't trashed here. I literally just picked up a spearhead that I found for $70 and I'm having fun painting them. They're an incredibly fun army to paint. Larry is always right here watching over me. He's always right beside us. He's always with us. So he's there, always shouting, ah, pay me more. That's what he wants. At any rate. Okay, cool. Well, good. Hey, Paul, thanks so much, brother. This is a lot of fun. This is good.
Thank you for having me as always.
Absolutely. It's always a great time to have you on for your 15th, 16th, 27th. I don't know how many times you've been on over the course of the show. You know, when I was like, yeah, I'm sure. Like I'd have to go back and count, right? Who knows? But like when I was like, I put the show up, right? I listed it or whatever. And then I was just like working and I had a minute between meetings. So I had YouTube up and I just generally have like music or stuff on while I'm working if I'm not in a meeting. And like, so I brought up the YouTube homepage and my own video was there, like in the recommended stuff on the homepage. And it was like Warhammer Weekly. It was recommending the playlist and it was like 545 videos. And I was like, oh my God, Jesus.
Yeah.
I wouldn't click that. That's scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, it turns out we've done this a lot. But hey, anyways, for all of you out there, thank you so much for watching. If you've got thoughts about anything we ranked, if you disagree, drop those down in the comments. Thank you to everybody who was chatting along this whole time. That was really great. Lots of really good interaction. Thank you to everybody who super chatted. It's deeply appreciated. There shouldn't have been any ads in the middle of the show. I figured out what YouTube did and switched that made ads appear last time. So hopefully nobody saw ads randomly in the middle of the show when it was live. That shouldn't happen. Weird like side ads kept popping up every few minutes because YouTube changed the thing by default. So I'm sorry, everybody. YouTube just changes stuff like every 2 weeks and we have to all just keep up with that. But that should be fixed now. So thank you to everybody. I really do appreciate it. Supporting the show is easy and fun and great. You can hit like, you can hit subscribe, do those things, click things that make dings. It's very helpful. As well, don't forget, new episode of Fireball the Gazebo down there, Ninjon and I's RPG podcast. Go subscribe up. We'd love to see you down there. New Rain and Iron game and the battle report is down there. You can find that as well as Snarlcast, Uncle Adam and I's indie war game podcast. Next episode for that will be next Monday. We already have that recorded and it is a really good one. So I hope you're excited about that. So check all of that out. Of course, there's also like merch store. There's your affiliate links. If you're going to pick up hobby stuff, just doing it through our links is really, really helpful. It saves you money and it really does help the show. And of course, there's Patreon and stuff like that. So thank you, everybody, for watching, for clicking those things. It is really deeply appreciated for being here every week. It means the world to myself. Paul, thank you, brother. Always a pleasure to have you on the show. And for all of you out there, we'll see you next Wednesday.